Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of SportsView on learnmedia.tv. Don't forget to press the red button on the right-hand side to subscribe to our channel, and we really appreciate it. Good evening, Derwynne Honan.
Hey, Pat. Hi, Joe.
Good
Hi,
evening,
Derwynne.
Good evening, Joe, and welcome along again.
Evening, Pat. Good to be here.
Now, another week has gone by. We're into the knockout stages of the Rugby World Cup, and the Premiership is taking a break after this weekend for international football. So there you go. I see Joey Barton was on the thing this morning. He said the English FA are great at rewarding failure, so he's making a case to sack the England manager before they win nothing again, according to Joey Barton. Anyway, I like Joey. I must say, I like his forthrightness, if that's a word, is it?
Yeah.
And he's utterly against VAR, but he has disciples here and there. Anyway, we're going to start with rugby and another Saturday night with the Green Army in Paris, Ireland. They did a demolition job on Scotland, and as expected, the last 8 are as expected. So you have Ireland against New Zealand, and you have Wales against Argentina, and France against South Africa, and England versus Fiji next weekend. Hence, I think it's a shame the way the draw is, because Ireland versus New Zealand and France versus South Africa, they could be 2 semi-finals. Instead, they're 2 quarterfinals. 2 of the best teams will be gone out of the competition after next weekend, and whoever they'll be, 1 or 2 of those 4, which is. It looks like we'll assume that Wales will beat Argentina. Wales could be meeting. I don't know what way the draw is now. Wales could be meeting the winners of France and South Africa, or is it the other way around? Anyway, it's a testament of the genius of what's his name in Wales, the manager,
Warren Gatland.
Yeah, that Wales have improved again to such an extent that they could find themselves in a World Cup final, never mind the semi-final, the way the draw is, you know. But to my mind, the way the thing is, there's been huge criticism of the refereeing in this World Cup, the inconsistency of the laws of the game being I suppose, interpreted in different matches depending on the teams. But my opinion is that my team of the tournament so far, they're gone home now, is Portugal. They played an expansive game, of course, with a French coaching staff. They played a lovely, expansive game of rugby. They tried to play rugby in its old form, in its purest form, you know. Good attacking rugby, you know. Nothing, no loads of kicking or anything. I don't know what it is. They were the most attractive team that I saw in the tournament. Derwynne, did you see much rugby over the weekend?
Yeah, I think France to me looked like the best team I've seen.
Yeah.
I think they got all the speed, the flair, and all the rest of it. I mean, Ireland's playing great, aren't they? You can't say they're not. I think Wales got a tough game against Argentina.
They will, and France are playing
tough.
Yeah, France are playing South Africa. How do you see that going?
France.
Yeah. That's very quick. Joe, what do you think the rugby is coming towards the end?
Well, I think that I'm really happy the way Ireland are playing right now. You know, it always seems that we get to these, games, these big games, and the doom and gloom starts coming out. You know, we're going to do, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. You know, they've done a fantastic job to get where they've got to in this, and the way they've played has been just amazing. It'd be interesting to see what happens with France. Is their top guy going to be playing?
Dupont?
Yeah.
He's back training anyway.
Yeah.
But it's still touch and go for him, you know?
Yeah. So that's going to be really interesting, because he'd be a big loss to them. It'd be a pity for him as well, because, I mean, his, this World Cup in France was supposed to be, the glory day thing for him.
Yeah.
And that unfortunate injury is. I hope it all works out for him.
Yeah, it would be a pity if he's ruled out. And Derwynne, what do you think of Ireland versus New Zealand now?
I think Ireland will win.
You do?
I don't think New Zealand are firing on all four cylinders. But they might just turn it on against Ireland. But if you went on what you've seen so far, I'd say Ireland will beat New Zealand.
What do you think, Joe? Will the Irish take them? They could.
I think so. I do believe it. I think that this is going to be a time when we have a real good chance at pulling the whole thing off.
Well, I can tell you now, for people who mightn't be conversant with all the Irish players, there's a company in Ireland called Supermax. It's a fast food company. They have outlets all over the country. They're one of the sponsors of the Connacht rugby team that Bundy Aki is playing with. And they have a new burger in their joint. It's called the Bundy Burger. So you can go to all the supermarkets. It's called the Bundy Burger. There's an ad going on. You should see that. It's very funny. But anyway, I mean, that's not here and there. He seems to be the heartbeat of the Irish team at the moment. There's an excitement when he seems to get the ball. And I think they will. I think they will take the All Blacks. All right. Wales versus Argentina. Derwynne, the Taffies will do well.
I think that's going to be 50-50. That could go either way.
Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Wales, they're on a good roll, and they seem to have a great team spirit as well. So I think Wales.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. So we've Wales, Ireland, France, and then Wales, Ireland, France, nearly all the Six Nations. We have England versus Fiji. On paper, England should win that, but I don't know. I mean, it's a 50-50 game, Derwynne, do you think?
I think Fiji's got a great chance. I think they're faster than England, that's for sure.
Well, most teams are faster than England, yeah. Unfortunately.
I think there's a lot of I nearly want to say you've got X amount of individuals playing in England rather than a team spirit towards it.
Yeah.
And I think Owen Farrell and George Ford do not work together, do they?
No. George Ford's day has come and gone.
I thought he's played better than Farrell. I think he deserves the spot more than Farrell does.
Yeah. They didn't excite me now when I watched them. They were very, very laboured. And I mean, it's the biggest competition they're going to play in, the pinnacle of their game.
Let's face it, they got a little bit lucky against Samoa, didn't they? Samoa could have run in a couple of tries there.
They could, yeah. They did.
England, they with Farrell not being able to count or understand what time means.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think England are right. I think there's Joe's just said about Wales having a team spirit. You don't see that with England, do you?
No. I think if there's going to be an upset, you're right. I agree with you, lads, that Fiji could be the one out of the 4 quarterfinals, could be the one to emerge. Argentina will have a chance to hide against Wales. They won't be afraid of Wales anyway, Argentina, that is. And they're a young team. They play nice rugby as well. So it'll be a tough match. But I
think Wales defending wise have been really strong, haven't they?
Yeah. That's what good.
They're not giving many penalties away, and they look a little bit like a tidy, well rehearsed is the wrong phrase, but they look like they know what they're trying to do, don't they?
Yeah, they look well drilled.
Drilled. That's the
good
word, Joe.
When you look at where they're coming from, they were in total disarray after Christmas. That's Wales. Utterly, total disarray. So much so that people were saying they appointed Gatlin before last Christmas. And mean,
I said on the show, didn't I, before the World Cup started, if Wales get out of the group, they've done well.
Yeah.
I think what Gatlin does, if you give Gatlin 25, 30 players for 3 months basically isolated training, I think he can make a team out of anything, couldn't he?
He could, yeah. He's top notch, as they say, top notch. Warren Gatland.
It's been really interesting because Sam Warburton being part of that ITV sort of punditry gang.
Yeah.
They've been saying things. He's been saying things about Gatland that before the game, Gatland in training is all over you, and then come the day of the match, he's very quiet, very calm. Just reminds everybody, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. When it does this, or I want you there, and there's no sort of rallying the troops with big speeches and screaming and shouting. He said it's the complete opposite, that you barely know that he's in the room.
But I mean, that is so. Top coaches do their work in the build up to the game, and then on the game day, it's down to the players. Yeah. And players don't need the rah-rah and all this, and
no.
And how many times can you give a rah-rah speech anyway, till people stop listening to it? It just becomes white noise after a while. So to let people, just think about doing their jobs while they're in the dressing room and just having a word, you've trained all week. Now let's go out and put it into action. And that's what you need. Somebody that is like that, because like I said, the rest of it doesn't work all the time. It just doesn't.
It'll be very hard to call the final. I think this is the one chance. This is the one chance that Ireland, I know I'm biased tonight, that Ireland has of ever coming near winning the Rugby World Cup. I think this is the moment. This is the time. And they have a unique chance. There are a few, there's no team 100% strong, and Ireland has a tendency. I mean, it's line out was in trouble for a while. It's scrum was in trouble for a while, but they got their act together. They made the changes. But one thing I like about the team is they make changes when they're not afraid to take off star players. They're not afraid to take off names and change them out. I think the team know that themselves. Is it 7 or 8? Is it 7 changes they can make? 7? Is it a half?
8.
8.
Yeah,
a half a team. Yeah. Jeepers, that's a lot of subs. That's a lot of subs.
It's interesting.
Well, I mean, it's a very tough game.
It is a tough game.
I mean, it's a very violent game, and injuries in that sport they've got to be. The wear and tear on players' bodies must be absolutely unbelievable.
I was looking at Peter O'Mahony there. He's 100 cap, and I was just thinking, how many belts has he taken in 100 games? His body.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just phenomenal. I mean, really, it's tough going. All right, and he's in the forwards, which is brutal, as you said, Joe. Anyway, we look forward to next weekend. It'll be rugby all the way. We had the Premiership over the weekend, and there were wins for Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, Everton, Fulham, and Man United. Now, my son was in the room watching Man United, and I heard the groan, and I said, "What song?" He said, "They're gone behind." That's Man United. They were playing Brentford, wasn't it? Brentford.
Yeah, Brentford. Yeah.
Well, Brentford. They can dismiss. Brentford are very well organised. They're an organised team, and
Brentford's beaten United a few times, haven't they?
Yeah, you won't beat Brentford 7 or 8-0, every day. But
no, those days are gone.
United came back well. Like McTominay came back well to take all 3 points, which they had to. They're in the top 10 now of the Premiership. They're up in 9th or 10th place. That's Man United. But the result of the weekend must have been Arsenal and Man City, And there's a thing going on in TikTok with, did you see the manager, Pep's tirade against Arsenal, It's not. It's not very complimentary, but anyway, I think he was recorded in off moments before the actual interview or after. I know which, but it's not very complimentary either to him or to Arsenal. But anyway, that's the way it is. Arsenal. It was a good win for Arsenal, lads.
Yeah, it was a very good win.
They were under. They were under.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was kind of interesting to watch. City, I thought, had the better of the first half, and then Arsenal came out in the second half with a little bit more energy and a little bit more zip about them, and I think they just on the strength of their performance in the second half, I think they deserved the win.
And how much do Man City miss Rodri and De Bruyne? They're big holes in the team, are they?
Oh, they're huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about these two guys. I mean, these two are probably, they're top class, absolute top class, and even John Stones, another one that that has been out. He came on at the end on Saturday. But to lose guys like that, it leaves a huge hole in your team. I mean, they're talking about who was it? Was it Saka didn't play for Arsenal at the weekend?
Saka?
Yeah. And they were talking about him. But, I mean, you look at De Bruyne and you look at
Rodri, as I said.
And Rodri being out. And, of course, then Gundogan is gone as well. So
I forgot about him, yeah. That's true.
Yeah, so you've got three players there that are top players that are not available to them. No, and they still look good. I mean, they still look good.
Is Grealish injured?
I don't know if he's injured or not. I think he was.
I think he was
carrying one.
I think Grealish was at the barber's getting his hair done.
Yeah. Because he's not played, does he, at all, really?
No, he's I want to say just being slagging. Yeah. That's all. But
I think he did. He did have a bit of an injury, I think, and they've kind of been nursing him back.
Right.
So, but it was interesting at the end of it when Walker got into it with the Arsenal coach, and that stuff that's handbags at 10 paces, really.
Yeah.
What that is. But it's good to see the rivalry and because you need that. You need a little bit of that. You need that.
You need passion.
Yeah.
There's definitely a little bit of niggle between them, isn't there?
Yes, there is. There is.
Yeah, just like the FAI Cup semi-final was on the weekend here in Ireland. St. Pat's versus Cork City down in the shed down in Turner's Cross. The St. Pat's scored. They won 2-0. They scored the first goal. And the stupid so-and-so, because I've been in that ground loads of times, I'm not making excuses at all. The guy that scored the goal from St. Pat's ran over to the Cork City crowd with his hands in the air, and he got a belt of a plastic bottle, I may say. He was a lucky boy that's all he got a belt of, running over like that, And I thought it was very funny. It reminded me of the old days when you eat the ice cream and you threw your ice cream at the Very funny.
And there was worse things thrown at you.
Oh, there was. Just it reminded me of that, But anyway, those things happen. But I thought that Liverpool drew 2-2 with Brighton and Hove Albion, and there's another slagging because you remember Klopp was looking for a replay in the Spurs match, and they were saying that he'd be looking. He said, "I'll be looking for." There was some fella taking him off on TikTok. He said he'd be looking for a replay in this match because he played against two teams, Brighton and Hove Albion. He said it wasn't fair, We were looking at the draw, what we're saying. It's very funny. There's some funny guys. They're very sharp, very quick, But it was a good match. I saw most of that match, I enjoyed that game, Brighton
it was a good game.
Brighton are still formidable,
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Of course.
I think they were a bit lucky.
I didn't talk about my own team at all. I mean, they were unlucky they didn't get a draw with Luton Town. They had their chances. They had plenty of chances. They
don't look like they've got enough quality, do they?
They don't. Well, they have nobody at the moment to put the ball into the net, which is very important. I think they're okay at the back. Spurs didn't impress me a whole lot. They were laboured most of it. They got a player sent off, silly buggers. But Luton Town, even against 10 players, a man less, a man more, as I say, they couldn't push on. They can't. You're right, Derwynne. They're short a few players.
If they had a decent striker, they would have won that game easy the other day.
They'd have won the last 2 games easy if they had a striker. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Life is tough. It's going to get tougher there, I think, But it's nice to see them anyway. You're looking at SportsView here on theirmedia.tv. Tell all your friends about us with Derwynne and Joe and myself. And it's Monday, the 9th of October. My goodness me, we're on air here tonight. Press the red button to subscribe to our channel, and we appreciate that. And thanks to all your viewers and all the comments as well. We appreciate them as well, We're moving on to golf. Luke List, he won the Sanderson Open. He won $1.5 million for himself. A 5-man playoff. I was watching the Golf Channel at the end of it, and anyway, fair play to him. At minus 1,800 with the rest of them. The Alfred Dunhill just finished up a while ago. Did Matt Fitzpatrick hold on? Did he?
I don't know. Actually, I haven't checked.
I think he did. I think that
they've had some weather up there, haven't they?
The Alfred Dunhill was rained off, so they changed it over to a 54-hole tournament from the normal 72. So it was held over to today, and I think I'm just looking it up here. The Alfred Dunhill Links Championship. Yeah, Matt Fitzpatrick held on. He won it at minus 19 over 3 rounds. That's some scoring, isn't it?
It is around those 3 tracks, yeah.
Yeah, he shot a 66 in the last round, and Southgate and Armitage and Fox. Ryan Fox has been in great form. From New Zealand. He was a joint second at minus 16. Soderbergh and Wallace and a few more. Cole Sarts is back. He's back with a bit of form. He was the golden boy there a couple of years back. Cole Sarts.
He's the Ryder Cup cheerleader, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see McElroy and a few more around. They were saying, and that other fella, Colin Montgomery, would someone advise him to keep his mouth shut? Colin Montgomery gave an interview to Golf Monthly. Is it Golf Monthly or Golf Weekly? I know which one it is.
Golf Monthly, yeah.
Golf Monthly. He said, no live player should ever get the captaincy of the Ryder Cup, he said.
And I'd have a bet with you, if he was in his prime and they had knocked on his door and said, do you want to come across for 100 million? Monty being Monty would have gone for 100 million without even thinking about it twice.
He never won a major.
He needs to for all his divorce cases.
Huh?
He needs to for all his ex-wives.
I know that there's a good film around like that,
Sure, he's made a hobby of. He's addicted to wedding cake, isn't he?
Yeah. I wonder what's his favorite.
Doesn't he know it's a lot cheaper to buy them?
Yeah, it's a lot easier, isn't it? Just buy one and cut the middle part out.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was in the Ascendancy DLPGA event. Hooju Kim won it. Korea, she won the ladies. Got minus 13. She was, and Leonie Maguire finished joint 5th at minus 5. So she got $45,000 for her weekend work, and Ho Chi Minh got $270,000. So they won that. And we're Formula One. We usually give a mention to Formula One, but we don't spend a long time at it. We should stop slagging it. Really, a few of my friends, I have a few friends left in Shannon where I live. They're Formula One fans. They were saying we're very we don't treat it very well. I said, well, we do. I said you can call out the winner of a Formula One race any weekend without ever watching it. I mean, that's unique to any sport, isn't it?
I think the biggest thing for me this weekend about Formula One was, I think it was the McLaren pit stop. 1.8 seconds to change all four wheels.
Go away.
1.8 world record. 1.8 seconds.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah,
That's
to me.
That is
the
amazing.
highlight of Formula One this weekend for me.
Yeah.
that's astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, 1.8 seconds. I mean, that's
Anyway,
how
just
do you change four wheels in 1 point. I can't even spell wheels in 1 second, let alone change four.
before we miss it, before we must well give the winner of it as if nobody knows. Guess who won it? Max Verstappen was the winner. But the Piastri and Norris in the McLarens were second and third, which is a great result for them, you know, in the two McLaren cars. There's 16 races gone, and Red Bull have won them all. And
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be some record, and he's six races away from the end of the championship, and
it's
they've
over.
already won it. Yeah,
It's over. Yeah, it is over really. And anyway, I didn't see it actually. I didn't see it at all this weekend. I forgot all about it. You know, I was only looking it up this morning, and I saw a cracking boxing match over the weekend. Lee Wood and Warrington for the WBA featherweight title. This is their second fight, you know, and Warrington was favourite. Warrington was winning the fight hands down. There was half the fight was gone. 6 rounds were over. All he had to do was stay standing for the other 6, and he'd have won the fight handily. But like boxing, Lee Wood summoned up an extra bit of energy in round 7. You should watch it. It's on YouTube. Round 7. Watch that round of boxing. He really gave it his all and stopped him in his tracks. Knocked him down flat on his back. The referee stopped the fight. And rightly so, because he was after getting something like 11 blows altogether before he fell down. And your man wanted to continue, but really, you know, you call a spade a spade. But that was Lee Wood. He resurrected his ambitions again to be taken seriously. But the both of them were cut around the place. You know, it was a tough fight. It was a tough fight to watch. It was one of those fights. I know. Do anybody remember Raging Bull? The fight Raging Bull, telling the story of Jake LaMotta.
Yeah.
Reminding me of the fights between Derwynne is too young to remember them now, Joe, but we remember them between Jake LaMotta and Sugar Ray Robinson, where you got about 1,000 cuts, you know, and both boxers were bleeding profusely through the fight, you know. It was one of those bloody fights, and I mean that blood isn't bloody, but it was a good fight, good entertainment. Next week we have the Nations League coming up in soccer. Ireland will be playing their 2 games over the weekend on Friday and Sunday or Monday. Friday they're playing Greece at home, and they're playing Gibraltar away. You know, really. I'm giving them 3 points against Gibraltar. They could get 3 points against Greece at home. See, these Nations League matches, the results will depend on the seedings as well for the future draws for the European Championships and whatnot. So it's important that Ireland win those 2 games for their own sake, you know, because they've been granted the next European Championships. That's Great Britain and Ireland, as we know. You know, the European Championships are being held in England and Ireland, the 2028. Is it? Yeah. And they have the Ryder Cup the year before down here near us in 2027. That's here in Adair Manor, just across the road. So we're painting all the houses. We'll be renting them out for $10,000 a night. You can tell all your friends. They'll have to go to the toilet down at the big tree at the back of the garden, and that's fine.
Build some ditches.
Yeah. Just, Derwynne, did you ever see that tree that was cut down in England? I know it's not sport we're talking about.
Yeah,
now.
Sycamore Gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a famous.
It's
It's very
Sycamore Gap.
famous.
It's called.
Adrian's Wall, is it?
Yeah, it's right. It kind of grew by the side of it.
But where is it? What county?
Northumberland.
Northumberland. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have a friend actually from Northumberland.
If you watch Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Costner,
Kevin Costner's a good film.
that's where when they're walking up and down the wall, and the sheriff's men are chasing the little boy about killing a deer.
Yeah.
The little boy runs up the tree. That's Sycamore Gap tree.
Oh.
That was actually filmed there.
Why did your man cut it down?
I think because he's off his head. I think one of his huskies is facing the wrong way.
I didn't realise that the cost of timber and coal was that expensive in Britain for the winter coming in, you know. That they just go out.
What's really, I mean, it's sad that he just went down and gave the chainsaw to it. But somebody from the village just down the road literally went and planted another sycamore tree about 10 yards in the perfect line where the tree was, because it literally meets at the bottom of two little ridges, two little hills.
It was unusual, right, you know?
And the National Trust made the guy take the tree away because it wasn't one of their recommended sycamore trees. It might have contamination in it.
I didn't bring it up last week.
Yeah, it's like, really?
There was a famous amateur golfer passed away there. You weren't on notice last time.
Michael Benalek.
Michael Benalek. Did you know him?
I met Michael Benalek a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very famous amateur. Sort of won the British Amateur a few times, Walker Cup. Went on to be an RNA captain, and he actually ran the RNA for a while.
Go here.
Yeah, he was secretary at the RNA for a while.
Where was he from?
I think he was Yorkshire. Yeah.
Yorkshire, Michael. Yeah, I was reading about him, or I didn't know. I heard his name, obviously, you know, because we had our own. He played in Ireland a good few times.
I think he played in the same Walker Cup team as Roddy Carr.
Did he?
Yeah, or Joe Carr, one of the two. Yeah.
Joe Carr. Joe Carr, of course, was around for years and years. Joe Carr as well, yeah. He was amateur. Amazing. There were so many good amateur golfers. They never turned professional. I suppose they just didn't have the.
Yeah, I think a lot of those, like the likes of McAvoy, Benalek, you know, they worked in the city, they worked in London, and they were on big, well-paid jobs. And I actually also think, even with Wolstenholme's
Guy Wolstenholme.
Yeah. What's the son? Gary.
Gary.
Oh, they were big fish in a little pond, and I think they realised that if they jumped out of that pond and went into the big one, that they would have just been little fish in the big pond. So I think they quite liked that sort of atmosphere, if that makes sense. That's not being derogatory towards them. But I think they were on well-paid jobs in the city, and golf was a pastime rather than a.
My son was watching a Netflix. What's the word? A documentary on David Beckham.
Yeah, I watched that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Were you bored to death?
I think they've done an amazing job of making him sound like some kind of the Dalai Lama.
To give him a personality, is it?
Oh, I think they've done a great job of. I thought Posh Spice came over quite well.
Yeah, and
she came over quite normal. She
did, and I noticed in a few of the clips that David Beckham's dad was a very had huge regard for Roy Keane.
Yeah, hard taskmaster too. His dad sounded, didn't
he? Yeah. But Beckham, it's only when you see the clips, when you see the scores he got, the goals he got, and it was made for the American audience because, they had to explain extra stuff in the documentary that we already knew what they were referring to, when they were referring to that kick on Simone, we all knew what that was.
Yeah.
Soccer of any kind when he was sent off that time, and really, it wasn't really a sending off offence. Do you remember that, Joe?
Yeah, I do. I didn't think it was a sending off offence.
No, it was not. Just handbag stuff, you know.
Yeah, it really was. And I think that, to be honest, I think the referee, Simeone, sold it in the best way that he could. And I think the referee was conned.
He was.
But, you know, the thing that Beckham, what I judge Beckham on, and the quality of his play, and not just the goals that he scored, but I mean, and he scored some huge goals. That goal that he scored against Greece at Old Trafford that put England through. But that game against Bayern Munich in Barcelona in the European
Cup.
In the Champions League. David Beckham that night covered every blade of grass on the field. And if you remember, United were without Roy and Scholesy.
Yeah.
They were.
He came in and he played centre midfield. And he was absolutely unbelievable, the work that he got through that night. Now, I'm not saying he was the best player on the field, but the amount of work that he put in to help them through that was just, I mean, he really stood up and was counted in that game. That really showed his character and the kind of a guy he was to me.
Yeah.
So I have great admiration for him for that.
Yeah.
I thought he handled the whole thing with Capello really well as well at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
You know, where he got dumped out the team and train on your own over there and not part of the team. And he kind of, in some ways, he kept his, I don't want to, what's the right word? He kept not dignity, but he kept his
status.
Yeah, by not sulking and saying no, I won't play. And because a lot of players, let's face it, if you were sent over there to practice with a coach and run around with a coach over there, and not be part of the team, a lot of players would have said up yours when you want me back. Oh no, I can't be bothered now.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at, who was the one who played for Arsenal just recently, the last few years? The centre forward.
Oh, Bentner?
Oh, no. The black lad, French. I think he's French. The one who basically wouldn't run around and just basically wouldn't.
Giroud.
No. After him recently, like last couple, so probably 2-3 seasons ago, they got rid of him. But Arteta got rid of him straight away.
Oh, God! Now you got me thinking.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. He went on.
Was he a French player?
I'm pretty sure he was French, wasn't he? Centre forward for Arsenal.
No, we'll have to.
Got rid of him straight away. It was like you don't want to play for Arsenal, and away you go then. Don't worry about it.
Of course, Beckham would Beckham get into this. Beckham would get into this present United team. No better.
Without even thinking, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Imagine what the thing about Beckham is, Joe, what you said there about the quality of stuff. When you think about his dead ball situations, the free kicks, but also the corners.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he wasn't blessed with speed, was he?
No.
He didn't have pace as such. He couldn't run past you, could he? I mean,
no,
I think
that was not his game.
Carl Walker would have been jogging backwards to catch Beckham, wouldn't he? He wouldn't have been turn and run after him. He would have just been going back, running backwards to get him.
One other person that people were commenting on, they were saying that he played with a lot of world-class players at time with United during his career, you know. He played with Roy Keane. He played with Gary Neville. I'm not saying they're all world-class players. Sorry, Gary. But he played with Cantona was in the team.
Yeah, I think
Scholesy was in the team.
Yeah.
Ryan Giggs.
Giggsy was in the team, yeah. Then you had who was it?
Rio
Steve Bruce and Pallister were the two centre backs, and then you had what's his name? Jaap Stam after that.
Yeah.
He was putting balls through to some. I mean, he had Dwight York, he had Andy Cole, he then had Van Nistelrooy,
Teddy Sheringham.
Sheringham, Sculshire. I mean, he did have some players to pass the ball to, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He was a brilliant.
I thought Keane's comments was really good as well.
Yeah.
Beckham wasn't a scrapper, so if he was getting kicked around, he didn't retaliate. He said, and then Keane turned around and he said, but he had a few of us around who wouldn't mind jumping in.
Yeah. and that's the thing with it, I mean, those are the kinds of guys that you need in your team.
Yeah.
That, when they see other guys getting it dished out to them, they take the law in their own hands and they deal with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because everyone has a different quality on the team.
They do indeed. But it's an interesting documentary. I probably saw the first episode of it, nearly all of it. It's interesting.
So I'm looking forward to the next episodes of the Netflix Full Swing, the golf one.
Yeah.
Because what they were doing at the Ryder Cup, and this has all come out afterwards, is that Full Swing were in the American camp filming because it's an American Netflix thing. And what was going on with Cantlay and Koepka was that the PGA of America have had all the money from that part of the filming from Full Swing, the documentary.
Yeah.
And what Cantlay was saying is that it's not about the PGA of America. This is about the Ryder Cup team, and that's us, and we should be getting paid for this.
Well, exactly. The money.
It all got taken out of context.
Yeah.
Where it got reported that Cantlay was saying that we should be being paid to play in the Ryder Cup, and it wasn't. His words were being taken out of context, and it wasn't about that. It was about the documentary that's being made for Netflix, that the players should have been getting paid for the documentary.
Yes, I agree with you there. Yeah, and of course,
and all the bullshit about the hat not being able to fit. That's total nonsense.
That Johnson was a shocking choice for captain, anyway.
I mean, the real reason is what came out at the press conference. So I spoke to one of the coaches who was part of the American team. And the real story was that he was getting married on the Monday after the Ryder Cup.
He was, and he did.
And he didn't want to have that silly suntan where your forehead is white and from your eyelids downwards is brown. If you ever want to see something really funny, try and find an image of Stuart Sink.
Yes.
Put it on Google, Stuart Sink without his hat. It actually looks like someone's drawn a line along here and painted his face that way.
Yeah.
Because he's from there upwards, he's bald, but it's like white. I mean, it's not just red or anything, it's white. And Cantlay didn't want any of his wedding photos to look like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was it. I mean, obviously, I thought it was a bit silly myself, apart from the fact that the United States team was in disarray. They were in disarray. They weren't a team.
Well, I don't think Zach Johnson's exactly an inspiring kind of lad to pull you all together. And
no.
And I think the Ryder Cup means two different things. The Ryder Cup to the European team is whether that's because in Europe we've all grown up playing football as kids.
Yeah.
Whether you're in France or whether you're Norwegian or Swedish or whatever, we all play football, don't we?
We do.
And I think at the school level, you get integrated into that sort of ethos, don't you? We're a bunch of lads here playing.
Yeah, it's in your psyche.
Whereas I think the Americans are just 12 individuals every time.
Yeah.
And they're talking about Woods being the captain. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, most of them don't even like him.
No, half the team wouldn't be talking to him.
So, I mean, what's that all about?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I don't know who'll captain the Ryder Cup the next time for Europe.
I'd like to see Luke Donald do it again.
Yeah, he seemed to have. They seem to like him.
He's a clever lad, Luke Donald. I mean, he's educated. You know, he went to private school, and his parents were, you know, middle class upwards. Rather, he's not had it tough.
Where is he from, Derwynne?
Beaconsfield. Sort of
Where's
Benham, just north of London.
Oh, he's a Londoner.
West. Yeah, sort of posh side of Uxbridge. There you go.
Well, you know who's one of his closest friends? Michael Jordan.
Is he really?
He and Michael Jordan have houses next to each other in Florida.
In Jupiter.
Oh.
Yeah, and they do all sorts of stuff together. Their families and them. Yeah. So I found that an interesting one. I saw that as the Ryder Cup was going on, that was the case. That he and Jordan were best buddies.
Wow.
Yeah.
For people, we'll have one more look at that Ryder Cup.
I mean, he did a great job with what he had. I mean, it might have been the perfect storm with the Americans not being ready for it, and some of them not having played for 5 weeks or what have you, which obviously doesn't help. But you still have to go out and do the job.
Yeah.
And like you were saying there, I know we've had other captains for Europe in the past, but you have vice captains behind the scenes that are doing some of the other stuff, the team building and all that kind of stuff. So maybe the Americans didn't just have that, or like you're saying, I mean, right from the time these kids are golfers here, they're out on the golf course.
I mean, the European players who I thought may not do well came up trumps. Young players like Auberg. Auberg was sensational. The young McIntyre from Scotland. He came of age during that Ryder Cup. In my opinion.
No, they just played. They played nicely, didn't they? They played well.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. And,
I mean, I was only talking about it today to someone, but they've knocked it in the. I can't remember who was playing Max Homer. He's knocked it in the water. I think it was Fitzpatrick, wasn't it?
Fleetwood.
Fleetwood's not. No, not Fleetwood.
No, it wasn't. Was it?
No, it wasn't Fleetwood. At 16, the European lads knocked it in the water, and then Homer pulls out the driver and does exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, why didn't you just hit 7-iron down there and wedge it on? It was like,
and he'd have won the hole.
Yeah, it was just like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
But again, like you just said there about those vice captains. If you watch the European vice captains, they were floating between two groups all the time.
They were.
Whereas the American vice captains seem to be sitting on buggies around Zach Johnson.
Yeah.
So, but I think the Ryder Cup means something totally different to the European team. I honestly do.
Yeah, I think that spirit that Ballesteros engendered in the European team has endured.
Do you know there was a really good during the Ryder Cup they had, or in the build up to it, on Sky they had a thing called the Captain's Dinner, and I thought it was like them televising the dinner like on the Tuesday night before the Ryder Cup starts on the Friday, and I honestly thought, what on earth are they filming that crap for now? And I literally turned it on, only to realise it was Monty, Thomas Bjorn, and Paul McGinley sitting around a dinner table with Nick Doherty talking about their time as captains.
I saw that. I saw a bit of that.
It was a fantastic documentary.
It was very good.
Monty came out with something, and I've been lucky enough to play and spend time with Monty. He is a bit of a required. He's a bit Marmite, isn't he? He's a bit of a required taste, but he came out with a really good comment about the Ryder Cup, and they were talking about how Seve made the Ryder Cup, and he actually pulled everybody back and said Seve contributed to the Ryder Cup, the person who made the modern day Ryder Cup was Tony Jacklin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah, and he stuck up for Jacklin and said Jacklin was the one who said we literally didn't have team bags at one time. That you nearly had to buy your own team bag. You didn't have. He said the Americans would come over and they had all their clothing, cashmeres, and all the rest of it. He said we were like the poor relations. And when Jacklin asked to be the captain, he turned around and said, "The only way I'm going to be the captain is if we do it this way. That we have the best of everything. We fly on Concorde. The whole team goes together. Caddies are looked after." And he turned the Ryder Cup into what it is today. Sorry, I've got off my soapbox now.
No, I didn't know Tony Jacklin. I'd forgotten about Tony Jacklin, but that was a very good chat with McGinley. McGinley is very astute, actually.
Yeah, he's a qualified accountant, isn't
he? Yeah. He's very good. And McGinley and Monty, as you say, he's an acquired taste, you know. Yeah, he is.
Thomas Bjorn came over good in that documentary too. Quite humble.
Yes.
He's changed a lot over the years, Thomas Bjorn.
I'd say I'd love to see Sergio Garcia, captain of the Ryder Cup, when it comes to Deer Manor.
I just think there's too much. There's too much politics going on with all of that live and everything, because they're now talking. I mean, I don't know if you've read any of that stuff now. That whole live and the US tour being joined together by the Saudi fund. That's all hit some rocky patch now. That it's not actually going as smoothly as everybody thought.
Well, that whole area of the world is in turmoil at the moment, anyway. You know, and so
yeah, I mean, if you read the articles, most of them are geared around Jay Moynihan.
Yeah,
that he wants too much of everything. And he's not willing to, give. So I don't know, but
I think that Live Golf has done a positive thing for the world of golf. It has loosened the purse strings of the PGA.
Yeah,
it certainly did that. You know, they had no choice. Whereas playing the poor mouth when you had millions and millions and millions of dollars in reserve was not washing with the players. You know, and the players want to have. Professional players want to have some kind of a balance with their personal life, you know, and their playing life. And Live Golf gave that. It wasn't all about the money. People, when the dust settled and the hoo-ha settled, it wasn't. Of course, the money was eye-watering. I mean, eye-watering. You know, there are golfers who joined Live Golf who were glad and delighted to be there because their career was I won't say they were over, like, but
no, but they were on the other side of the hill, weren't they?
Who said it to me? They were on the dark side of the moon.
Yeah, I mean, Westwood and Pulse and all the rest of them. They're not. I mean, they're still good players. Don't get me wrong, but they're not at their peak anymore, are they?
No, and Big Phil, all the Phil Mickelson. I missed Phil Mickelson out the Ryder Cup. I missed Sergio Garcia out the Ryder Cup.
I think it would be really sad if Mickelson was never a Ryder Cup captain.
It would not surprise me with the vicious politics of the golf.
I think that would be a really sad thing.
Isn't he pretty unpopular though with the players?
If you said on a scale of Woods or Mickelson,
they'd all go for
Mickelson. Would go into Mickelson's camp than they would be in Woods' camp.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that the thing is, Joe, guys, that whole thing in America, you can guarantee if the three of us were at a European tour venue and we were staying in the same hotel as the players, the three of us could go down to that foyer at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. And if you were all on your own, a group of players from the European tour would just say, come and tag along with us. In America, when they play week in, week out, they have room service every night in their room. if you go and stay, I've been lucky enough to stay in the same hotels during during American tour events.
Yeah.
And you get up early and walk down the corridor. There is just trays and trays outside rooms on the floor in the corridor because none of them do what I've just explained there.
There's no socializing and the crack, as we say.
Yeah, and it's not about, sitting in the bar or anything like that.
No,
They're
no,
not. They're
no.
drinking water.
Socializing.
You could stand there and they would go, "Oh, come and sit with us. Come and join us." And it wouldn't be weird for them to do it. It would be the normal.
Yeah, yeah.
And that would be the likes of Monty and Sevi and, or even modern day players today. They still do that. There's that. I always say to people, the European Tour is a travelling circus. The circus comes to town. And next week, it's going to be this is one of the nicest courses I've ever played. And they'll reel out the same sound bites as they did last week.
Yeah.
But that travelling circus is a travelling circus. They all know each other.
Yes. Yes.
When you look at the American Tour, the biggest friendship is probably between Spieth and Justin Thomas, isn't it? When you think about it. And Ricky Fowler's in that gang.
Yeah.
I think Koepka's on the floating around on the edge of that gang.
Did they have the biggest margin of defeat? Brooks, Koepka, and your man 9.
Yes, and
9 and 7.
Scheffler, yeah. 9 and 8 was it? 9 and 7 or something?
9 and 7 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they were. I mean, there's two guys there who should never have been paired together.
No.
I mean, there's no friendship. No. I'm not talking about being mates or anything, but there's no. There's no.
I mean, that's what I noticed in the coverage. Well, they even picked it up in the Golf Channel in the US when the European Cup players, they were talking to each other, coming between shots. They were chatting away. They were talking away, There was none of that.
I always remember something Sevi said to me once that I said to him. Do you ever remember a player called David Guilford?
Yeah.
So David Guilford played one Ryder Cup, and he was very much the average European Tour player. He was a journeyman who had a good year, built it into the Ryder Cup, made the Ryder Cup team on his own merit. And he got paired with Sevi.
Oh, jeez.
And Sevi turned around to Jacqueline and literally said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And David Guilford sees you as a god. He will do whatever you ask him to do. You tell him to hit it to there. Just hit it to there. He will just hit it to there. He won't have his own thoughts or
No, exactly.
And Sevi nursed him round, and they won their 4-ball match.
Yeah.
And when they got interviewed after the match, Sevi had his arm around Guilford's shoulders, and I remember talking to Guilford about it, and Guilford said, "For a whole week, I was like the best player in the world because Sevi kept telling me I was." And
psychology of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and you don't see that happening with the American team, do you?
No, somehow you don't, And I think Mickelson is more like a European player in that respect. That's
I'd agree on that.
He's very expressive and emotional, And
he's, you see him at a tournament, he'll stay around for 2.5 hours signing autographs.
Yeah.
He really wants to go home.
He loves the buzz. Yeah. That's why I think Lowry did well, not because he's Irish. I think Lowry did well in the Ryder Cup, because
he did well. Keep McIlroy out of the fight, didn't he?
What?
Keep McIlroy out of the fight.
Yeah, he did well. He did well in the car park.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he was under severe pressure coming into the Ryder Cup. That's Lowry, because a lot of commentators have said were questioning Luke Donald's choice for him in the team. So he was under tremendous pressure to deliver. I think he did well considering the pressure he was under, as well. They all did well, but I think I was watching him for the whole weekend, and he did well. he is great. He has that spirit about him. You know, he loves. You can see he loves it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, he's well into it, isn't he?
He is well into it. He's well into
And you can see that he's probably gone home and gone back to practice at the Bears Club, and where most of the guys are members. And you could see him walking on the practice ground, ribbing them, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. You know, he'd be teasing them rotten, wouldn't he?
Oh, he would. Yeah, he'd have that Irish terrible wit altogether. You know.
Yeah.
The put downs. You know.
Well, what about him? Was it at the Ryder Cup when one of the officials was telling the crowd to be quiet?
Yeah.
You know?
That was just gone.
Was that the Ryder Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lowry comes back to him and says, "You're making more effing noise than all these put together."
Yeah, he said that to him. Yeah.
I thought that was classic. I loved it. It's like
he's just natural, isn't he? Shane Lowry is being Shane Lowry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He learned a lot of that on the G. Huh?
It's just like you were saying, though. It's just like you were saying. He loves being a part of the team.
Yeah.
And nobody else would get away with that except him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I there's a good clip on YouTube as well with Sevi doing that, where they're playing in the World Match Play and they're on the 17th fairway at Wentworth, and somebody in the crowd's moving, and Sevi backs out of the second shot where he's trying to hook this 3-wood round the trees, and he turns around and he goes, "Guys, I know you're nervous. I'm nervous too, but please, just for a moment, just be quiet, please. This is. I know you're nervous, but I'm just as nervous as you." And like the whole crowd just started laughing.
Yeah.
And it straight away he gets back over the ball, and you could have heard a pin drop.
Yeah.
It's a good clip on YouTube about Sevi 17th fairway.
The World Match Play, because that was a huge tournament one time. Whatever happened to it?
Massive.
Remember, it was only second in importance to the Ryder Cup.
Yeah. Massive.
Is it the way? Do they not promote it anymore, or what has happened? Are there too many tournaments?
No, so I can tell you first-hand knowledge of this because of my relationship with Volvo.
Yeah.
So I've been Volvo's global golf pro, Joe, since 1989. So I've done 25 PGA championships for them as tournament director, 21 Volvo Masters, about I think 15 or 16 China Opens, and whatever. Volvo, IMG owned the World Match Play, so they came to Volvo and saying we need looking for a sponsor. Do you fancy taking over the World Match Play? And at the time, there was a new person who'd been in charge of Volvo event management. And he wanted to do everything different from the previous guy who'd been in position about 25, 26 years.
Yeah.
He was a little bit like my second dad, if that makes any sense. The other guy retired. And this new guy wanted to make his own stamp on things. So he agreed with IMG to sponsor the World Match Play.
That's Mark McCormack, is it?
Yeah, Mark McCormack's group is called IMG, it's International Management Group, and sometimes known as International Money Grabbers. But this new guy came in and wanted to make his own stamp on stuff, and he took the World Match Play away from Wentworth.
Go away.
Yeah, he took it away. It went to Finca Cortesin, where they played the Solheim Cup. And to make it really different, it wasn't going to be the top 12 players in the world anymore. It was going to be like a bit like the Champions League. It was going to be a group format. They'd play each other like a round robin thing. And I sat in all those meetings as the golf consultant for Volvo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what are they doing to this event? This is like I've grown up as a kid from when it was the Suntory World Match Play to the
Suntory. I remember it.
Suntory Toyota World Match Play.
Toyota. Well, Toyota was with him one time.
Yeah, Toyota, and then there was a computer company had it. Anyway, it was like the home of. It was at Wentworth. The World Match Play was played at Wentworth.
That was it.
And this guy took it away, and that's when it all started falling apart.
And did players lose interest in it as well?
Yeah, because suddenly it wasn't the top 12. It became a 36 or a 48-man field.
Yeah, there was groups of 3 or 4.
Yeah, they played a round robin round Finca.
Yeah.
Finca hadn't even opened when we were going down there for planning meetings. And the golf course at Finca is not Wentworth. That's the only thing I'm going to say to you.
Yeah.
It is not Wentworth.
Yeah.
The first time we played Finca Quarter Thin, I was playing with the old sponsorship manager of Volvo. He was the global sponsorship manager. So he looked after golf, horse, show jumping, the round the world, the ocean race, Volvo ocean race, tennis. He was in complete charge of all of this. And we came, he was a Mad King golfer, he was a scratch golfer. He played in the Open himself back in the 60s. We came off the 6th green at Finca Quarter Thin in a buggy, and we didn't know where to go. There was no signs, and part of my role within that was how you set the course up, how you set everything up for the players. And when come the tournament, we had to get XC90s had only just been launched.
Yeah.
We had a fleet of XC90s to take the players and the caddies from the 6th green to the 7th tee, because it was about a mile away.
Tiger Woods would never have got to it, would he?
Honestly, we had to do it because the walk would have killed people.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it, because I came off I was only with him last week. He was over he lives in Florida, and he was over here visiting his son.
Yeah.
We had lunch together and we were reminiscing about stuff. It's a funny story between the family, is that, the 6th green when we got lost. So we came off the 6th green. He's an ex-pro. I was a golf pro, or I am a golf pro. And you have you have some kind of instinctive feeling that, well, it must be that tee over there because that's the nearest tee to us.
Yeah.
We went on that tee and it was the 16th. And we stood there and went, Christ, where's the 7th gone then? Where is it? We're not lunatics. I mean, where's it gone?
The World Match Play now, who is the sponsor of it now?
It doesn't exist anymore. It's become part of that, the WGC series.
The WGC World Match Play. Yes, you're right. And
so
was it played in Bermuda one time?
It was played in Bahrain. It was played in Spain. Went to South Africa. It was a shambles, really, to be honest. I probably should be saying this out loud on a public forum, should I?
No, I miss it because
I'm going to get sued next week.
Any golf tournament that attracts the top players in any sport, whether it's golf or thing, you make a note of it, a conscious note. The World Match Play is on in Wentworth on such a date. You'll have the world's top golfers there, guaranteed a fantastic weekend. Whereas the luster and all that surrounded that is gone.
It turned into just another tournament rather than like what it was, which was a special tournament.
It was a special tournament. It indeed was. You missed that, because it made a lot of golfers, came good in that match play, who had laboured on the circuit, and it was a massive, massive payday for them,
I remember Sandy Lyle playing Tom Kite.
I remember Tom Kite
at Wentworth. Lyle went on to win it that year, but the 3rd green used to have one great big tier, so it went up and then plateaued, and it was a massive, great big ridge in the middle of the green. And Tom Kite came up short. Sandy Lyle had hit the green in 2. There was a par 4, and he came up just short, and the flag was just on the top of the ridge. And he played this perfect chip, but it was about 6 inches light on pace. And it got to the crest of the hill and basically fell backwards and went all the way to his feet. Now, Sandy Lyle was about 15 feet away for 2 on the same level as the flag.
Yeah.
And Tom Kite, again, you could probably go on YouTube and see this. I think Tom Kite had 6 attempts at it before he gave up. And Sandy Lyle was literally just got his hands on his hips like, oh,
Yeah.
really? Come on, give up now, will you? Let's
And
move on.
Tom Kite was a good golfer.
Yeah, it was. I can still remember it to this day. Him chipping it and nearly. It was like so close to being perfect, and it came back to his feet, and he did exactly the same thing about 4 times. And in the end, he chipped it to the back edge of the green and just said to Lyle, "Pick it up, let's go."
Now, listeners, we've reached the end of another edition of SportsView with Derwynne, Joe, and myself, and you have enough information now to be looking up stuff on YouTube. After you watch us, look back at this. We have to do a bit of editing in it as well. Otherwise, we'll be all we'll make the newspapers for all the wrong reason. So, from myself, from Joe Waters, from Derwynne Honan, until we meet again, lads, it's been a blast. Take care. Good sport for the week, and we'll see you all with the funny shaped ball next weekend. Bye-bye.
See you, boys.
All right. Take care, guys.